You're listening to WUSB Stony Brook 90.1 FM. We're back with Anna Ling. You just heard Promise of Light. Um, so, um, One of the most stark images you'll ever get on an album is is you get a bird essentially crucified, a bird, a baby bird as Jesus, having died, well, maybe not for our sins, but certainly because of our sins. Um, and obviously, that bird is not alone. Um, when you saw that bird, what did it represent for you?
So the full, it was lockdown. It was lockdown. I think it was in the that first year of lockdown. So it was within a context where very little is happening. So anything that happens is like, totally blows you away. And um and I was living with my partner at the time, and we got a knock on the door. And we came out, and so all the I live at the street I used to live on. It was mostly elderly people, and there was a whole kind of little flurry of people kind of outside their houses looking. And yeah, as you said, this there was a seagull, and the seagull's legs had got tangled in pieces of plastic, and then somehow it had flown up to our roof, and then these pieces of plastic had got stuck on the old redundant aerial, from when, I guess from the old TV days, and it hadn't been able to get away, and so it had died with its feet stuck on the aerial and its arms cruciform. And um, my partner, at the time, has a seagull tattoo on his wrist. And the seagull is quite a significant animal to him. And um, I guess it was just a time of like reckoning with mortality. Um, I think we're really not, I don't feel like we've really started the cultural work of really kind of staring that time in the face, and all that it was to be living through a pandemic. Um, so there's this um, you know, and it's death through, as you said, they kind of die for our sins. It's, it died because of our over use of plastic, and because of our terrible kind of um relationship with um just plastic, and getting rid of it and just leaving it. And so yeah, kind of the Anthropocene was definitely in my thoughts, when seeing it and when writing that. Um and the and maybe this experience of being aware that, it's almost like the death is happening outside of yourself. It's not that the Anthropocene, or at that point COVID, was happening to me, or kind of the my direct experience, but it's more like you're kind of aware that it's happening out there in the world. um yeah. And there's a photo of the seagull, which and my um Nivan managed to climb up onto the roof, and there was this whole all the old all the older women on the street were kind of like, no, don't do it. And he went, and he retrieved the seagull, brought it down, and we buried it in the garden. um yeah, so it's yeah, it's still a significant creature.
Ah, I feel for it. That must have been a scary way to go. Um, you at on the at the beginning of the album, you sort of mention humanity as going through an Icarus sort of moment where we are looking to the sun, reaching up to it, spreading our wings, and that's about where we've gotten so far in terms of world history. Um, are you getting the feeling that it's not going to end well?
We might be a little bit too close to the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think will it end with, it will the structures that we're living within will end. I can't see how they won't. But we don't know what's on the other side. And I feel like we've got everything to play for as well. And um, yeah, we don't have to necessarily, you know, nosedive into the sea, I don't think. But but we but the structures are won't hold up for much longer, I don't think.
So, maybe not collapse, but certainly change.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Joanna Macy talks of the great turning. I think she's a real bright thinker within these worlds, um, recently passed. Um, yeah, can we? I don't know. We'll see.
You name this album Light. Um, you've got light shining through cracks. You have the dawn breaking each morning. Um, is light you know being the sun being this thing that will last billions years longer. Is light sort of this eternal resource? And what does that mean? What does that imply?
Light, light, light is in all but one of the songs. The word light. um, I think, to be honest, uh, as I mentioned before, most of the songs were written in times of comparative darkness, and I feel like music for me is a way to kind of reach out from challenge towards hope. Um, and there's that beautiful spiritual teaching that, all it takes is one tiny little bit of light to illuminate the darkness. Mm. If you bring dark in, if there's already light and you try and bring dark into it, the light doesn't go away. But if you bring light into the dark shifts. And I have a I strongly believe that at the core of this experience of being is is love and light and peace, and um but we do tend to cover it up very successfully. um but I have a great faith in um in I guess could I don't know, I think, yeah, light as another kind of way of framing hope or of framing um love. I think they will kind of, yeah, there's a relationship there. Um,
Yeah, I hope you're right on that count. Um, you know, there is there is all this chaos in the world, AI, violence, certainly quite a few moments for that Icarus moment, or quite a few opportunities for that Icarus moment to come strike. Um, I don't know if this is a hopeful or dark note to end things on, but if we were to go away, what do you feel would happen to that mycelium? What do you feel would happen to just the universe without human beings? Like, you know, what if there is the darkness? Try to sell me on that vision.
Life would just carry on, wouldn't it? I there I get I feel like human life is so precious and such an exquisite and strange um place for evolution to have got to. Um, and there is something in incredible about self-awareness, which I suppose is what ostensibly probably distinguishes us from the other alive world that we know of. Um, but I don't feel like the universe without human life would be greatly diminished. Um, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to, it takes you an interesting, it's an interesting thought experiment. Um, I guess I go to like, where would, would there exist some um aspect of consciousness that was affected by the whole human experiment? Um, who knows?
I'd like to I'd like to see the mycelium continue. I'd like to, feel maybe the problem with right now is that humanity has gotten so hostile with each other in this last decade or so that it's hard to feel like you're part of the mycelium. It's hard to feel like, it's just hard to feel the universal love.
Yeah, yeah, it's a scary time. It's a relationally quite scary time when you look out of the, I don't know, I mean, I'm assuming, many of us have, I think, the experience of being like our immediate world is feels quite generous and loving, and but then you kind of look above the parapet of whatever it is, social media or um and there's people being really well, it's just polarization, isn't it? And it's fear. I believe people are not going out there deliberately. I mean, maybe for some people, when there's power involved as well, there potentially is some manipulation going on. But I think a lot of people who are kind of expressing what you're talking about here of um, not aspects of universal love are scared. And I've got a few friends who are really in small ways trying to, if I was having a conversation this morning with someone I live with who had noticed someone that she knows has started posting some really questionable content. Um, and so she reached out and was like, "Hey, like, do you want to chat? Like, let's like, I'd love to, I'd love us to like have a conversation about this and try and understand each other." And it does feel like I did, yeah, I don't know how we get better at understanding and seeing each other in this time of polarization. But yeah, it's scary. It is scary. I'm listening to The Parable of the Sower, which is an Octavia Butler book at the moment, which is set in a post-societal collapse where there's not, it's just the kind of the worst expression of what humanity could become. Um, and and within that, the story is of hope and people kind of creating small connections. But yeah, and it is scary, but I think we do, I'm hoping creativity, and I run community events and try and get people together in various ways, generally through singing. Um, and I again, like I said before, I do believe that we are essentially good, but how do we stay in healthy relationality is something that we don't seem to be getting, we don't seem to be very good at currently broadly. So yeah, hopefully this love, the metaphorical mycelial networks of love will continue continue to grow as well.
Maybe maybe we just have to, spread the light one conversation at a time, right? And put light somewhere where there's only darkness. Hopefully, using that scientific logic, the light would win.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I know you're a choir director, so I'm going to let's do a choir themed final question.
Great.
I always end the show by asking the artist to pick any song that they were not involved in the creation of, for me to play things out. Why don't you pick whether it's naturally meant to be a choir piece, or whether it's just a song you turned into a particularly satisfying choir piece? Why don't you pick a song that gets us inside the head of choir directing?
I think because we've just been talking about light, and I guess, of course, the light being the name of the album, Lux Arumque, which looks means light, um, by Eric Whitacre, is one of the most exquisite modern choral pieces written, I believe. And I saw it performed at the BBC Proms a number of years ago. And it was weirdly one of the first choir songs I taught when I was in my late teens or early 20s at voice camp. There was a few of us taught it to the teenagers. We took the first little bit of it, and then it built into this whole epic piece with like beatboxing and rapping, and we won't have that version, but we'll listen to Eric Whitacre's Lux Rimque.
I kind of wish we had that version. Anna Ling, thanks so much for coming on Country Pocket.
Thank you so much. It's been utterly delightful. I'm really touched to be in conversation with someone who's yeah, evidently listened with such intellect and interest. So thank you.